The undefeated Buffalo Bills are set to host the 2-2 New England Patriots on Sunday night, and there's a lot of hype for the Patriots. What's up with that? We're going to break it down today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. I want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate you all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, folks, welcome in. It's the last conversation that we're going to have before the Buffalo Bills host the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. And as this week has moved along, as I've had numerous discussions about this game, I can't help but notice there's a lot of hype for the Patriots. A lot. And the one final thought that I have for you, and we'll talk about the Bills getting a new punter, and we'll talk about James Cook being honored. We'll get to Dr. Kyle Trimble of Banged Up Bills about injuries. I'll give you 5 predictions for Sunday. But the number one thing that I want to say to you in this final conversation before the Bills host the Patriots is, can we please not lose sight of who the Buffalo Bills are and what they have? There's been some really good conversations this week about Patriots quarterback Drake May. Looks like a good young player. He can stress the Bills defense in ways that are concerning. I've already seen some conversations and chatter about the challenge next week of Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons. Pause. The Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen. And I'm not suggesting that we sweep concerns about the team under the rug, but an NFL season is a journey. And there's a lot to be excited about the Buffalo Bills, who are the only undefeated team in the AFC. The Bills are doing some really special things offensively. Of course, the way Josh Allen is playing, but the run game and how that can continue to build and evolve and the stress that it puts on opponents. Yeah, the defense has a lot to prove, and I'm certainly not giving it the benefit of the doubt, but there are reinforcements coming, and the team is settling into a new style of play defensively. But there's conversations about style points, and, you know, the Bills are not blowing out the Saints or the Jets or the Dolphins. I remember these conversations throughout the years about the Patriots and Chiefs. There must be something to it, something to be said for the challenge that is playing the Bills. And, you know, you can't make that critical mistake. I remember it prior to this iteration of the Bills and thinking, boy, so much has to go right for the Bills to win a football game. Margins are slim in the NFL, even for the best teams. It's hard to win, right? Like, that's really true. I know that you might be numb to hearing that, but it's hard to win. It's really hard to win by multiple scores every week. And the Bills have now done that 3 games in a row, but there's a lot of chatter about style points and are they dominant? And they have concerns. Like, of course they do. So does every team in the league. You watched the 49ers and Rams on Thursday night. I hope you did. I think the best thing you can do is watch other football and understand what's normal in the NFL. It was a short week for the Rams and the 49ers. The Rams are at home. They're 8.5-point favorites. The 49ers have a million injuries. And the 49ers won the game. And the Rams, boy, they made mistake after mistake. 2 huge fumbles. I mean, huge fumbles. They had a big drop on 3rd down. They had a missed field goal, a missed extra point. They dropped an interception that would have iced the game. They couldn't convert a 4th and 1 with the game on the line. And all of that equaled an overtime loss. Still had plenty of chances to win the game. But the point being is, could you imagine if that was the Bills? And that was the L that they took to, I don't know, insert the Dolphins coming in on a short week with a million injuries and made all those mistakes and lost the game. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs in any football game. But it sounds silly, but I just feel the need to say they keep score for 60 minutes. If you want to beat the Bills, you have to outscore Josh Allen for 60 minutes of organized football. And when Josh Allen mashes the gas pedal, watch out. We saw it against the Ravens. We saw it against the Saints. There are takeover moments when he needs to do it. The Bills have won 14 of their last 15 regular season games with Josh Allen as the starting quarterback. The one loss, a 2-point loss on the road against the Rams that featured a blocked punt for a touchdown by the Rams. The Bills have earned high expectations from us, but they are the team now that you can't make mistakes against, and they are the team that can make a mistake and still be fine. Remember who the Bills are. Remember who the Bills have. Remember that games are a journey. Seasons are a journey. Let it play out. The Bills are in a great spot. They're 4-0 and haven't even played their best football. And reinforcements are coming. I hope the Bills are not the same team in week 7 as they are in week 4 or week 9 or 13 or going into the postseason. Exhale, breathe, remember who this football team has, what they've proven, and that it's a journey. And the panic over narrow, is it even narrow? We're talking about 10-point wins, 11-point wins. Because they didn't blow the door off the stadium with the team. It's crazy to me. Breathe. Bills are 4-0. They got a great opportunity to get to 5-0 on Sunday night and get their 3rd division win of the season. Couple other things here. James Cook named AFC Offensive Player of the Month. That's awesome. Let me give you some stats here, courtesy of the press release. The only other time a Bills running back was named AFC Offensive Player of the Month was Thurman Thomas in November 1991. Oh, by the way, Thurman Thomas was the NFL MVP that year. James Cook currently leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns and is 2nd in rushing yards. James Cook is only the 6th player in league history with at least 100 scrimmage yards and a rushing touchdown in each of the first 4 games of a season. And James Cook is the first Bill to surpass 100-plus scrimmage yards in the first 4 games of the season since O.J. Simpson did it in 1975. What a start to the year for James Cook. The guy got paid, and he continued to elevate his performance and elevate his contributions to the team. It's awesome. The Bills also have a new punter, Mitch Wishnowski. Welcome to the team, replacing Cam Johnson, who's been placed on injured reserve. Wishnowski's not a new thing in the NFL. He was a 4th-round pick in 2019 out of Utah by the San Francisco 49ers. They loved him. They signed him to a 4-year, $13 million extension, and then he was released back in May. And 2024 wasn't the best year for Mitch Wishnowski. He missed the last 8 games of the season after kind of struggling at the beginning based on his own standard. He had a back injury, and then the 49ers released him in May, and they said the cap savings, they saved $2 million by releasing him, but also the availability of veteran punter Thomas Morstead led to that decision. And then, he's with the Bills now. He's 33 years old. He's an experienced player in terms of handling kickoffs. He's Australian. I think this is as good as you can hope at this point in the season when the Bills are on their 3rd punter in, I don't know, what is this, going into game 5. So obviously there's a level of concern based on how 2024 went and the fact that, look, this guy's been available and no team, was ready to bring him on. But I think this is a really reasonable option for Buffalo right now. Obviously a guy that during his time with the 49ers has punted in high leverage games in the Super Bowl and playoff games, obviously. And so I think that all things considered, this is a good spot for the Bills to land with finding another new punter. All right, we're going to talk to Dr. Kyle Trimble here in just a moment. We'll get his thoughts on some new injuries, right? Dorian Strong popped up, Dorian Williams as well. TJ Sanders has a knee thing. We'll get into all of that here on the other side of it. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Certain businesses truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Spending money there doesn't just support the business, It supports the people behind it and the community around it. Those local spots are what makes the neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them run on Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more, but before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square will see you in the neighborhood. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Cole Bishop's interception against the New Orleans Saints. You remember this. The Saints were threatening to take the lead at the end of the first half. It's 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line, and Cole Bishop perfectly reads the play, makes an unbelievable break on the ball, intercepts it, and not only takes points off the board for the Saints, but puts the Bills in position to maintain their halftime lead. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. I'm joined now by Kyle Trimble. He's a doctor of physical therapy. He runs bangedupbills.com. You can follow him on social media at bangedupbills. Joins us each week to get ready for the upcoming game from an injury perspective. And, of course, there's something to talk about this week, Dr. Kyle. Let's get into these players that have been missing time. Spencer Brown, Matt Milano, Ed Oliver. All three practiced this week in a limited capacity Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They're listed as questionable for the game on Sunday. It feels like there's some good momentum for these guys to return.
Absolutely. I mean, I liked what I've seen for the most part from each of those players that are listed questionable that you just mentioned. Brown has looked great. I mean, he wasn't doing great last week. We know that he got injured against Miami. He played through the whole game with it, and then they had limited practice before he sat out. So it looks like he's ready to go. I haven't seen any restrictions, and I thought it was the left calf, but it could be both. Yeah, we don't know which side it is, but that's a good sign when we can't tell. As for Milano, he's been hitting the tackling bag and hitting the blocking dummies. I mean, doing everything else there. It might just come down to how he feels about wrapping up tackles and how he can get out there. The legs are moving fine, and just what can he do from a coverage and tackling standpoint. We did see in the past where he has gone in with this previous injury in 2020 where he played just passing downs, more down obvious third down passing, or we could also see him just get his nose right back in there. So it definitely seems like there was more minor injury than we had suffered last time back in 2020. But if he doesn't play, I wouldn't be surprised, but he looks like he's been trending in the right direction. So I expect he's going to try going if they do need him, especially with some of the other injuries on the roster. And finally, Ed Oliver, he's been looking better. He moves well when he's doing the activity. It just, I don't like what he looks like afterward. It looks like he's limping and looks like it's so painful. I know people, including your brother Frank, has even said, hey, that's just his walking pattern. I'm like, well, it might be, it might not be, but it doesn't look like he's moving around well out there, at least from a standpoint. And it's not even saying that he can't go out there and play, but it just comes down to what's this going to look like in the third quarter when you need that extra just stop there? What's it going to look like in the fourth quarter? Is his ankle going to be killing him? And we don't know if it's just a pain thing. We don't know if it's a structural thing that he's worried about re-injuring. We don't have a whole bunch of issues. And we know that Ed Oliver confirmed that he didn't get stepped on by a horse. So he's the only one that's questionable. I could see him not playing. I would prefer him not to play, but I could see them doing a snap count and getting out there on maybe just, rundowns first and second, and then get somebody else in there for obvious passing downs and kind of work him in rather than trying to get him back into his previous snap count.
One variable with the Ed Oliver injury is something that's popped up with TJ Sanders, who practiced in full on Wednesday, but then he was limited on Thursday and Friday. What's interesting about Friday is he was originally not going to practice, according to Sean McDermott, and then he did. And so I think that's probably a good thing. He's listed as questionable for the game. It sounds like maybe there's been some type of knee flare-up. What can you tell us about Sanders?
Not a whole lot, unfortunately. I know that Joe Biscaglia had reported that the injury occurred during the Saints. It flared up midweek. The fact that he's out there after saying he wasn't supposed to practice is a good sign. And this is one of those things, if it's a flare-up, you got to make sure it's not going to get worse and get more irritated where he's going to miss further time there. So it might just come down to how he's focusing on rehab, how he's doing, how the knee's responding, and if he can get through the game. I mean, you'd hate to have two guys on pitch count, but once again, if you have Oliver going, maybe you can have Sanders sit some more or make him inactive altogether. Versus, if you know that Oliver's not going to go, then hey, what are the risks of making this thing worse with Sanders? So I wish we had more information about this. With it happening during the game, we get this information. I do have a job. I can't look at film all the time, which would be nice if I could do that. But I'm hoping to find out later, and it'll be on my my weekly injury article when it gets out on my website there. So I don't know that I'll find it, especially with a flare-up thing like this, but we might see something that might give us a further idea of more what happens there. So it's up in the air, and I wish I had more clear determination on that.
Both of the Dorians are declared out for this game. Dorian Strong with a neck injury, Dorian Williams with a knee. Let's start with Dorian Strong and the neck injury. He practiced in full on Wednesday, but didn't practice at all Thursday and Friday, ruled out for the game. Neck injury. I don't think anybody likes hearing that. What do you have on Dorian Strong?
Once again, we know that it happened sometime in the game that they said, and I think they referenced even practice too, and something that's been lingering. Keep in mind that's key wording there. I went back through. There wasn't a whole lot during training camp. He doesn't have any previous injury history or known injury history of a neck injury dating back to college there. But he did miss a practice back on, I believe it was August 7th for undisclosed reason. There wasn't any tape on any extremities. There wasn't any braces, nothing that suggested what was going on there. So we never got an answer as to why he missed practice that day. And then they had a game 2 days later and he played in it. And I don't think there's any restrictions with there, but that could be that first clue that we sometimes see where guys have something lingering. It's never really reported until it becomes a problem later on there. So that's just trying to put some dots together, but I have no confirmation that was what caused him to miss a training camp practice there. As for the flare-up or it happened in the game, Matt Marino of Syracuse.com, NYUpstate.com did reach out to me and said, hey, check out this play at the end of the first quarter. It was a special teams play on kickoff. He kind of went barreling in and kind of speared, kind of got hit off to the side and more or less what led with his helmet, shoulder area. So we don't know if this is a pure neck thing, if it's more of a stinger thing. I have to look at the other film to see what else is going on with that. But with him being young and them not knowing quite what they want to do with Maxwell Hairston, with Tre'Davious White, it's good to get these guys rested up in case they need to lean on Strong later on in the season.
Dorian Williams struggled a lot against the Saints, and it turns out he has a knee injury, hasn't practiced all week, ruled out for Sunday. What can you tell us about Dorian Williams?
So Williams was a surprise. I mean, they told us that he was not going to be practicing on Wednesday before they got out there during that press conference before practice. They said at the time it was a leg issue. Talking with people who I speak with about the film and just understanding things there, Eric Turner of Cover One had reached out and said, hey, Williams looked like he was moving around funny out there. And then they confirmed during the Monday press conference that Williams was indeed nicked up a little bit. And that's why Shaq Thompson went in during the fourth quarter. Looking back through, I found two potential plays that could have been one where he fell and landed hard on his left hip trying to over pursue. I believe it was a Tre'Davious White tackle. I don't know if that was the case there, but then there was another play, literally the next play, where he was running toward the opposite sideline. The ball went the opposite way. He tried to stand or pivot and kind of go back. His right foot slipped. I thought at the time was a groin hip injury based off what I knew it being a leg injury. And then they said it was a knee. I don't know if this was an aggravation of a previous knee injury he had. Dating back to the first week of training camp, he had been wearing a hinged knee brace on his left knee, same side as he has that elbow brace on there. So I don't know if this is an aggravation of the knee from that, and that injury goes back to, I think, week 7 of last year. So this might be more of a chronic issue that just got flared up during the game. I didn't see anything else noteworthy during the game, but this is something we're going to have to watch. And you don't know if it's going to be an injury reserve situation, but with all these roster decisions coming up here soon, they got to move some pieces around. And, some of these guys that have a lingering week-to-week injury might go on IR because they can afford that to bring healthy guys back.
One thing I wanted to bring up with you, and my apologies for not warning you about this, Taylor Rapp. A lot of concerns about the way he's played this year, and there's been some uncharacteristic business decisions that it feels like he's made. Maybe he's lost some explosiveness, and obviously he didn't have a ton to lose. But, as we've seen him struggle this year and uncharacteristically tackle very poorly, he's been one of the best tackling safeties in the league, and this year it's just not anything like what it's been. you go back to the divisional round against Baltimore and he had a back hip injury. Is that something you think could be lingering? It's one of those deals where, he misses the next game, the season's over, nobody really talks about it. But you can't help but notice there's some declining play there. Do you think there could be a lingering issue?
You can't rule it out. I mean, we talked about this earlier off camera, and I went back through the film. There wasn't anything notably apparent, but what I had told back to you was that I felt like he was a step slower and that he would see the ball and have to react extra quick to it. So he was doing a lot of extra movements. And once again, I'm not the film guy. You and others have a better, deeper understanding of what the safety and the other positional players do, but it just seemed like he was kind of reacting to what was going on and was a step slower rather than being in position and maybe being proactive instead of reactive there. So at the time when he had injured his back and hip injury in the Baltimore Ravens game, the divisional game, he had Damar Hamlin bring a knee into the back of his low back, and then he got his right or left hip, I can't remember which one it was, jammed up in there. I had thought maybe at the time that he had a labrum injury in the hip and you can play through this without surgery. The back stuff, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different possibilities when you get hit in the back like that there. So you can't rule out the possibility, but we're just going off what context clues, see how he's moving. He hasn't been on the injury report because of that yet this year, but if he starts cropping up with it, I mean, there might be, where there's smoke, there's fire, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm not pleased with what he's doing either, but the team is winning. So sometimes you take the good with the bad there too.
Well, and it's interesting. He didn't wear the Guardian cap this past week, which is different. He's been wearing that since, I think, the Baltimore concussion in week 4 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll pay attention to that. Last thing for you, Dr. Kyle, is these players that are on injured reserve: Maxwell Harrison, Tylen Grable, Tyler Bass. All 4 would have met, the 4 week that they have to miss, right, due to being on injured reserve. And so I guess the new piece of information here is that time is now gone, and the opportunity to open the 21-day window for them to practice and then ultimately return to the active roster. The Bills chose not to do that for any one of those 3 players. And I'm sure there's varying reasons for each one. And a lot of that could have less to do with them and more to do with the corresponding move, right, that comes with having to create the roster space. But obviously they're not back yet. What do you take away from all that?
Like you said, I think it's most of it is due to corresponding roster moves there. Grable, I think, is the prime example of that. I hope his concussion symptoms aren't lingering. We've only had 2 known ones that have lingered more than, I think, 2 weeks. And that was Derek Anderson back in Josh Allen's rookie year, and then Mitch Morris when he signed and had a concussion immediately during the 2019, I think, training camp. So most of the other times guys will come back in a week, maybe miss a game and then, 2 weeks there. So it's probably more just procedural, waiting for a roster spot to open. Bass is less certain. I mean, he seems like he has a more chronic issue. We have never found out exactly what was going on with that. I've asked around a little bit and haven't gotten a true answer. But if it's something that's going to linger and they're worried about it aggravating again, they're going to make sure this thing's totally calmed down and he can do everything pain-free before he gets back up to speed. And we talked about last week about the different kicking styles and how they're having to kick for distance further, if that plays a part into that. And it's entirely possible. But the final one, Maxwell Harrison, we've seen him out at practice the past 2 weeks. He's been moving around better. I did look at things a little bit closer. He had a brace underneath the sock and pants there, a little bit different brace, but at the end of the day, the brace is still giving that support in the area. I think the true test is going to see when he starts ditching the brace and starts doing things without the brace. I don't want to say it's an open-ended timeline for him. We should have a better idea what's going on there with that. Maybe they wait till after the bye to open up that practice window and once they do the roster moves there. But as I see this more, he's moving better. I like what I'm seeing, but we just have to see how he responds without the brace. And then when he feels confident he can get back out there, because I think when you get him back out there, you want to make sure he gets the practice reps and you're not still rehabbing. So it's like most of the time you can kind of work in difference with in between with that stuff, but we will make sure that's, hey, you're fully healthy. Now let's make sure you get the practice reps so you run confidently and move well. So it's promising, and we just have to wait and see what moves they make, and then that'll kind of give us a better idea if it's going to be in truly 3 weeks when his practice window's up, or whether he needs a little more time and works his way in, maybe is inactive and gets into the swing of practice during the week.
One thing to keep in mind with Bills injuries right now is they play Sunday night, then it's Monday night in Atlanta, then it's the bye. And I know that is something that the Bills factor in decisions on who they're going to play, who they might, hold back, the corresponding moves that we're all thinking about. Of course, the players off a suspension after the bye. So there's a lot to sort out, and I can understand kind of taking your time with this stuff. That way you are in position to probably intelligently handle all of the moving pieces that are going to happen here. So a lot to come here from the injury front, and we appreciate you for hopping on and sharing your expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Joe, and go Bills.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. It is prediction time here on the podcast. As usual, I have 5 predictions queued up for you regarding the outcome of Bills Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Number 1, I predict that the New England Patriots will collect a season high in rushing yards. Their current season high came in week 2 against the Miami Dolphins when they ran for 122 yards. I think they will have some success against Buffalo. I think a lot of that success will come in the form of Drake May and his ability to run. The Bills have obviously struggled this year to defend quarterback scrambles, and I don't know that immediately changes this week against the Patriots. I think May is tough. He's big. He's physical. He's got some speed to him. I think it'll be a big challenge for the Bills to stop when it comes to defending scrambles. And, they got some explosive backs, and especially in Travion Henderson, their second-round pick. And I think he's a guy that has not quite emerged yet this year, but I think the Bills' run defense presents a ripe opportunity for him to maybe get going. So I think the Patriots will collect more than 122 rushing yards against the Bills. Number 2, I predict that the Buffalo Bills defense will collect 3 or more sacks in this game. And I think there's some really good opportunities for the Bills defensive line, particularly against the left side of the Patriots offensive line, where they feature 2 rookies, Will Campbell, their left tackle, Jared Wilson, their left guard. I think the Bills should be able to win some matchups there, particularly against Campbell. I think Campbell's going to be a good player in the NFL for a long time, but I'm not sure that's going to be as a tackle. He's a guy that doesn't have much length or wingspan. In fact, he's in the 0 percentile for wingspan among NFL offensive tackles. And the Bills have a lot of length with their edge rushers, whether that's Joey Bosa, A.J. Epinesa, Grousseau. These guys all have plenty of length that I think are equipped well to really challenge him. And look, I don't know if the Bills are going to elevate Landon Jackson, but Landon Jackson really took it to Will Campbell in college when they played each other. Landon Jackson at Arkansas, Will Campbell at LSU. So I think there's a good opportunity there. There's a young player at left guard. I think their center, Garrett Bradbury, is a pretty soft anchor guy, and you can get some good power rush going on him. And ultimately, Drake May takes a ton of sacks. We've been talking about this, 9.5% sack rate so far this year. 21% of the pressure he faces turns into sacks. And so I think it's a nice recipe for the Bills to get him on the ground 3 or more times. So 3 sacks for the Bills defense on Sunday night. Number 3, I predict that the Bills running backs will collect 4 or more receptions in this game. So far this year, Bills running backs are averaging 3.5 catches per game. I think you will see them involved a bit more this week in the passing game. And I just think it comes down to this overall recipe where I think the Patriots have really good outside corners and Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. And I'm not going to say that the Bills' perimeter receivers can't find some production, but it's just so much more appealing to challenge other aspects of this Patriots defense that has really struggled to defend the pass so far this year. And I think it's a game for your slots, for your tight ends, for your running backs. And I don't think much of their linebackers or their safeties in terms of coverage players. Their slot corner, Marcus Jones, is a good returner, but I think he's probably average when it comes to pass defense. And so I think you'll see Ty Johnson, James Cook, and maybe even Ray Davis catch the football a little bit in this one. Josh hasn't worked the checkdowns quite as much this season, actually about half as much as he did last year. And so I think there's going to be some opportunities in this game for the Bills to work the ball to the running backs, put me down for 4 or more catches, which is above their season average. Number 4, I am predicting a Buffalo Bills tight end touchdown reception. Might be Dalton Kincaid, might be Jackson Hawes, might be Dawson Knox. Obviously there's been some good touchdown production. I think they have 4 in 4 games, right? Kincaid has 3, Hawes has 1. But the story that I'm trying to tell with this pick is, once again, my belief that the Bills have got to really work the ball to the middle of the field against this Patriots defense when they want to throw it. I just don't think they have the players at linebacker or safety to hold up in coverage with consistency. And I think, obviously, again, their outside corners are really good, but I think the opportunities in the middle of the field are just going to be there. And so I didn't know how to quantify it because I think this Bills offense is hard to predict in terms of where the passing game production is going to come from. But I do think there will be a level of involvement from tight ends. Maybe Kincaid will have 50 or 60 yards. I can see Knox having some production as well. But ultimately, I think one of them comes away with a touchdown in this game. So my prediction so far, Patriots have a season high in rushing, which is 123 yards or more, 3 sacks for the Bills defense, 4 or more catches from the Bills running backs, which is, again, above their average, and then a Bills tight end touchdown. And then lastly, do I think the Bills win, or do they get their first loss of the season on Sunday night? No, put me down for a Bills win. I respect Drake May. I think he presents a lot of challenges for the Bills defense, but I think the Bills overall present a lot of challenges for New England. I don't think they've seen a run game like the Bills. They haven't been a good pass defense this year. The Bills have been a pretty good pass defense metrically. I know that there's some situational annoying things that have happened there, but they're number 1 in yards per pass play against them so far this season. And, I think they'll be able to kind of hold their own there. I am concerned about, just generally containing Drake May and of course, the run defense. I'm concerned about some special teams opportunities in the return game that New England is going to have. But ultimately, this is a home game from Buffalo. They rarely lose at home. They rarely lose division games. And they got a pretty good quarterback themselves there in Josh Allen. He wears number 17. He's awesome. You should check him out. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot that we're I don't know. There's like this appetite to be concerned about everything about these other teams, whether it's Drake May or legitimately just a ton of conversation this week about Bijan Robinson and the Falcons. And that's next week. It's like, all right, there's a lot of problems that those teams have facing the Bills. And I think there's a good chance the Bills serve up some humble pie on Sunday night. There's some momentum for this Patriots team. Certainly a team that looks poised to be the biggest threat to the Bills in the AFC East, moving forward. I believe all that's true, but I don't think that's right now, and I'm not sure that's that soon. And I think the Bills have a lot to say about, this. And obviously you look at the Patriots as the challenger. They're coming in and they want to take it and all that stuff. Well, you know what the Bills want to do is make sure that doesn't happen as well. I'm not promising you the Bills are going to win because, you never know what's going to happen. We saw what happened Thursday night with the 49ers and the Rams in a game that you felt the Rams should obviously take care of. But that's why they play the games. But I like where the Bills are at coming into this game, and I like their opportunity to improve to 5-0 with a win on Sunday night. All right, quick reminder, check out thejoemarino.com. You can type that into your browser, thejoemarino.com, or go to the show notes. There's a link that'll take you right there. I've got a Substack. I've got Subtext. I've got merch. We have a Discord channel. If you want to learn more about all of that, check out thejoemarino.com. And what I love is that we're just building community around this podcast where there's legit relationships and friendships and community. It's community that's being created around this podcast. And I'd love for you to be part of that and we can connect, and you can connect more with Bills Mafia through our different channels. So check it all out at thejoemarino.com. Get in that Discord channel. It's a lot of fun. All right, with that, the hay is in the barn. We've done all we can, folks. We've talked about this game as much as we can. The only thing that's left to do is for the Buffalo Bills to go out there and win it, improve to 5-0, and then we can officially turn our attention to Bijan or Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons. Monday Night Football, and they're coming off a bye. So we'll deal with that next. But for now, it's about getting that third division win, the fifth win of the season, and keeping the win streak moving. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for being here, folks. As always, I kindly ask that you share, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.